We are now on the first case study, which is going to be presented by Floris Mostert. So before Floris can start presenting, I also have his bio here, which I'll just read out and then he can kick off. So Floris Mostert, also known as Mosi, was born and educated in Cape Town, where he still lives. Mosi began his career in 1979 with SATS, qualified in 1982, where he commenced his career as a qualified electrician in the railways industry, specializing in heavy-duty voltage electrical maintenance. Thereafter, he joined the City of Cape Town Metro Municipality, where he has held management positions since 1988. Driven by unrivaled passion for service delivery, Mosi has been instrumental in asset management roles in the City of Cape Town, managing the only South African municipality department to boast OSHA's 18001, ISO 9001, ISO 14001, as well as the first in Africa to obtain asset management certification against PAS 55 specification for asset management. Earlier in the century, he turned around the electrical support services section responsible for the City of Cape Town's entire electrical infrastructure, which was then certified against the PAS 55 standard for asset management. More recently, he was in charge of the engineering and asset management branch of the Water and Sanitation Directorate, where he was responsible for delivering asset management support during all life cycle stages of over 60 billion worth of water and sanitation infrastructure assets. Mosi has a broad, balanced, and practical view of maintenance and physical asset management, with personal experience in successfully implementing, planning, and scheduling programs that deliver true value. Mosi recently retired, and he is now spending most of his time caravanning, enjoying time with his grandchildren, and working for his new boss. Over to you, Mosi.
Thank you. All right, guys, thank you very much. And Archie, thank you for an excellent presentation. I think you'll find a lot of the theory parts in mine, which is a little bit more on the practical side and implementation side. So you'll see there, I'm going to do just a short introduction, common challenges and improvement actions that we took during our reign. And we're going to show you some of the results. It's going to be a fairly quick presentation. A lot of them are just to show you what things could look like. What the idea around that is to, when you get the presentations, you can have a look at a little bit more in detail. There's just too much detail for you to probably remember everything anyway. This is what I look like many years ago. At the moment, a lot older than that. And let's just look at a typical municipal infrastructure asset management type of environment. You'll find there's a vast asset portfolio. There's various technologies. The asset ages vary from 0 to 150 plus years. It's distributed over a large geographic area, both underground and above ground. You've got many stakeholders and politics. You've got opposing forces. People want to reduce demand while obtaining funds to maintain infrastructure and increase capacity. And to get all of this together, you need a strategic approach to implementing asset management. Common challenges, and I think you'll find this in any business, you'll find most of them. You need to have what Archie has already spoken about, an accurate asset register. You need to know which assets you have, where they are, condition and value. You need to have asset performance. You need to know how is it performing. Archie explained that pretty nicely in quite a number of his slides. Asset-related costs. Is the cost of operating and maintaining your assets optimal, or should you spend less or more on them? Capital investment. Do you have capacity to deal with future demand? If we're talking about in this whole session is the future. Are we making good decisions when investing in new assets? I don't believe we always do make good decisions. Optimal maintenance. Are we doing the right maintenance? Are we over maintaining? Are we under maintaining? Are we monitoring our breakdowns? Are we reducing the breakdowns? Should we do more? Should we do less? Then you can look at your risk profile. Do you have your assets related risks under control? Have you even identified them? Safety. Is the plant safe for people to work on? Could you be faced with consequence of an accident or health problem? Competent people. I think everybody at the moment are complaining about competency of technical staff. Do we have the right competencies at the right places? A lot of people are doing outsourcing. Is it the right decision to make, or should you more be skilling your own staff or getting the right skills in? Spare parts and material. Big issues in municipalities because you're not allowed to standardize. You've got to just buy what's the cheapest on the rack, and this comes from your National Treasury and Procurement Regulation. So that needs to play a role. Technical information. Have you got all your drawings, all your procedures? Are they accurate? Do you have a library? Are they up to date? Further concerns. You probably find that in most places, the facilities of your staff in the field are poor. That again brings about low staff morale and buy-in. You try and implement something again new, and they say, oh, we've been through this so many times. Not really interested. Unsatisfied clients, the people that you're working for in-house as well as external. The people in the street don't see you come quick enough to fix their leaking pipes or holes in the roads, etc., etc. There's a high turnover of managers. There's low range time. That's a big issue in municipalities. Aging work. The works orders are just getting more and more, and they get less and less attention. You've got costs escalating, breakdowns escalating. Your ratio of proactive to reactive is decreasing. You want it the other way around. Further concerns. Your proactive work orders are not resulting in less reactive works orders. Why not? Could be wrong tasks, wrong frequency of those tasks, inadequate skills to actually do that type of maintenance. Work is just being signed off and skipped. First line maintenance is not being done. The quality of the repairs being done by in-house staff, as well as external contractors, are not up to standard. Sorry, some assets are not on the asset register, so they just don't get maintained. There's a complete lack of standardization. Ineffective work planning and control. Planning and scheduling is a big issue in municipality, or should I say some. Asset register maintenance, the accuracy of that, your data integrity. No clear configuration control responsibilities. Some places anybody can go into the system. Limited performance measurements exist. Some don't even have them. Optimal maintenance mix. Asset care plans are done in isolation and don't include everybody that's actually involved in the operations and in the maintenance. Defensiveness overrides collaborative culture. When people start to scratch in your patch, you defend instead of listening and looking at where the issues are and sorting them out. There are limited procedures, procedural compliance, critical information. Your master data and transactional data is sometimes being done offline. Contractor variances and management of those contractors. Low range time due to large geographical spread and centralized departments. And then you end up with silos and silos within silos, and that creates a us and them approach. Here's some pictures of what it was like at the beginning before we started to implement items. You can see on, oh, sorry. Where did we go now? You can see here, look at the oil spills here on the ground. Everything just standing around. This was put in the workshop. The guys can wash their hands, but also take coffee and tea there. Completely out of line. You can see here, look at these end boxes. Look at the drums standing around. Look at the birds. This is what some workshops looked like. Well, mine looked like it when it started. Have a look at all the parts lying around. Broken, damaged, old, new. So how do we do this and what do we improve? The strategy we adopted both in 2007 and 2015 was to do what Pragma call an asset management improvement plan. I know National Treasury have got one, and I think there's a number of others that are also now on the market. But for us, this worked really well. There were 17 pillars. There's a best practice, and there's a KPI for each block and for each specific pillar. So this was where we started off in 2015. You can see all over the place, firefighting, hardly something to really brag about. So how do we go about this? How do you deliver asset management in support of strategic goals? You'll see Archie also spoke about it. You manage your asset-related costs, you mitigate your asset-related risks, and you improve your performance. How are you going to do this? Increase labor utilization, up your tool time, manage your costs, optimize your operating costs, and optimize asset life. Improve reliability, ensure regulatory compliance, improve environmental and human safety, reduce operating downtime, increase asset output, and improve your asset efficiencies. Again, Archie dealt with all of these things in good measure. So how do you go about this? You measure your maturity, which is like what we used in the AMEU. You establish an asset management system. You implement improvement projects. You have a look at those where you can get the quick wins first, quickly. In that 7-year cycle, you would have seen Archie was talking to them in the first 4 years, which I agree with those timeframes, by the way. Identity and remove performance barriers and monitor your progress. How do you know you're doing it right? You can use any one of the certifications, the NRS 93, SAP, whatever. But when you can get to these kind of levels, you are very much on the road. Now, what kind of things would you need in place to get onto this road? Well, we started with putting a policy together. This was done at the highest level. And this also is your long-term vision and what your intentions are regarding asset management. It's the baseline for all major asset-related decisions and improvements. So we put together this policy that was driven at director level. I don't know, everybody's got different structures. And then we put together a strategy. This strategy is your asset management maturity. It targets that. It provides guidelines to enable the different branches to develop their own strategic asset management plans, which are called SAMPs. So there's a line of sight in all of these documents, okay? And then you got the branch SAPs. So you got the different branches within the department, and they develop these SAMPs together. So what it does is it prioritizes the improvement initiatives and sets the major milestones with specific responsibilities. Roles and responsibilities, very important document between operations and maintenance. It really is important for anywhere you're going because it tells who's responsible for what and what part. Designing a key performance areas, you need to be smart. You need to know how to measure it. If you can't measure it, you can't control it. If you can't control it, you can't can't manage it. Then we developed reporting, different types of reporting. You'll see a daily, weekly, monthly, annual, ad hoc, and then there's the different levels. These are all the different type of reports that would sent through, and you'll see you got your operational, tactical, and strategic reporting levels. Just an example of some of these reports, what they look like. Just gives you a snapshot. Every week we produced or every month. Then we've got the work order usage for the mobile. We developed a mobile system to move away from paper-based, became a digital item, worked very well. Just to show you how the process flows, and we use all these same sort of process flows for a whole lot of other items that we needed. They introduced weekly planning and work in progress meetings. You can see who attended the meetings, what portion of the business was at that particular meeting. We also followed who didn't attend the meetings. Then you had a monthly planning meeting and reporting standards, and you've also got all the graphs that go with that. Then we introduced a thing called criticality analysis. And if one remembers that asset management is the balance between performance, risk, and cost. So the asset management challenge is to try to manage your resource constraints and at the same time to try and improve the performance of the assets. The objectives are still to prioritize framework for maintenance work and replace all repair decisions, focus on production activities and inspection, which is your first line maintenance. And very important is to develop your asset care plans, establish spares and material requirements. Very difficult to do that in a municipal environment at the moment because there's a whole lot of issues around that. Just an example of what a criticality analysis looks like for a particular pump station. What did we do with that? We aligned with the risk register. We looked at the consequences, and the consequences we used was cost, downtime, service delivery, health, safety, environmental impact, legal compliance, reputational impact, etc., etc. Here's one for a root cause failure analysis done on a pump station. You'll see down here, there were 79 breakdowns in 1 year at the cost of 600,000. So you would think that's where you would start. This is what the mobile project looks like. It's a mobile that you look on the left-hand side, you'll see everything that was done manually is getting done by our electronic version. We did cataloging, root cause analysis. We developed a red list for production meetings. So we looked at the open reactive work because there was a lot of outsourcing. So we decided on 120 days is sufficient. And then open proactive days less than 30, and we monitored that. And then we're going to look at results. We took total open works orders and we reduced them by 49%. We took the works orders that were greater than 120 days and we reduced that by 97%. Average age of reactive works orders were reduced by 63%. On-time proactive work, if you look where it was, like 75%, we increased that by 28%. Overdue works orders, we reduced it by 88%. Customer satisfaction survey was done, 71% said we were doing a better job than the previous 12 months. This is what a red list looks like, the outstanding works orders versus the different types of work and areas. Now, this to me is one of the most important slides. You'll see in 2015, we did a baseline. I showed you the asset management improvement plan. So you can monitor on each pillar every year whether you've improved or not. Very good reference to do that. If you look at what happened in 2007, we were here. In 2014, we were here, which is very good. Just to show you some pictures of the team that managed to achieve certification. They were regional runners-up in Productivity SA and national runners-up in Productivity SA. And we were finalists in Vision 2030. Yes, after pictures of the workshops, you can see quite a vast difference. You can see the ablutions from what it was to what it became. This is the new head office that was designed for the water and sanitation building, of which I was part of the project team. And then this is just something I want to share with you, which I think is quite important. Came along here.
1 minute.
Okay, I've got 2 slides to do. This one here is if we just carried on as per normal, nobody did anything. Then we decided we're going to start to implement asset management. And this graph here shows if we did everything ourselves with no external help, that's where we would be. However, in 2006-07, we decided to partner with Pragma and start an asset care center on site to assist us with the implementation of that. And these are all works orders. So we went from 2,310 would have been our works order count if we did nothing, to 46,721. That's the actual result. So you can see a 20-fold performance improvement. So sometimes doing everything yourself is not always a good idea. If you look at this one, if we took it over time, the same info, you will find for us it would have taken 15 years to achieve that, where in actual fact it took us a hell of a lot less. So the performance gap here is 2.5 times that. Thank you, guys. I am within time.
Thank you. Thanks, Floris, for that presentation. And I think in your case study, there's clearly a demonstration that there are benefits that could be attained from applying asset management. And I think that the pictures, they actually says it all.